So contrary to everything you have ever heard online before about running an AI agency, if you're somebody who's running an AI service business or an AI agency, being non-technical is actually an advantage opposed to being a technical founder. And I know that sounds crazy because, chances are you probably watch a lot of AI agency content and everyone's teaching you how to build these tools, how to set up these automations. I'm going to show you why it's actually better to not know a single thing about setting up any of these AI tools or these AI automations opposed to being someone who's an expert at it. Okay, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive straight into it. And so everyone thinks that in order to start an AI agency, you have to have technical expertise. But what does it actually mean to have technical expertise? We have to break down that term technical. Okay, and so technical expertise means you have deep specialized knowledge and practical skills in a field like software or data science. Simply what it means is, let's say, for example, you're someone running an AI agency. If you're a technical founder, it means you know every technical detail about setting up these systems, about building these systems, how to, set up AI voice dialers or whatever system you may be building and implementing into the business of your clients. Okay, it means you're the one that's in the weeds, in the trenches of building every system, and you know how to do it. Okay, it means you have a deep understanding of how to build and optimize AI systems, workflows, and tools. And almost every AI guru online is telling you that you need to learn these tools and is teaching you how to build them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not completely necessary. Okay, and I would even argue that the time you would have spent learning these tools could have been better allocated towards activities that will move the needle further within your business. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. We have to factor in something called opportunity cost. What does opportunity cost mean? Opportunity cost is a powerful way of thinking primarily used in economics. Okay, it's a powerful mental model that for every decision you make, you need to think about the opportunity cost. Okay, and so opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative you give up when making a choice or decision. For example, if you spend $10 on coffee instead of saving it, the opportunity cost is a potential interest or other uses that $10 could have earned. It highlights the trade-offs in resource allocation. So everything in life is trade-offs. Whenever you're making a specific decision, there's always an alternative decision that you could have made, and there's a cost to choosing that decision, and that cost is called the opportunity cost. What is the cost of choosing path 1 instead of path 2? Okay, and I want to lay out the two paths that most new AI agency founders take when they first start their business. Okay, and so path 1 is you spend 2 weeks learning AI tools. You learn how to build out all these systems and deploy them into your customer's business. Or path 2 is spend 2 weeks choosing your market, learning about their problems, and mapping out a solution and validating it. Okay, so path 1, you're building out a solution before you even know if your market likes it or if they don't like it. And path 2, you're studying the market that you want to choose, all the problems they face, and you're creating a hypothesis around that problem that you want to implement to solve their problems for them. Okay, and so I talk to a lot of AI agency owners on a daily basis who choose path 1. Okay, who choose the path of learning these AI tools. And sometimes I even see people spending several months learning these tools before they even talk to their first potential customer. Okay, and in my opinion, that's a huge no-no. That's a big mistake. And the most common outcome I see is that they will spend weeks or even months learning AI tools just to realize that the systems they've been learning/building isn't even something that their market desires. I see this all the time. This is a huge risk because they spend weeks or months building out these systems, but they're not even solving a real tangible problem that's valuable to their market. Okay, so you just wasted, and this is the opportunity cost, you just wasted weeks or months learning all these tools, opposed to, the other choice you could have chosen, which is studying what your market actually wants and the problems they face, so you actually have a tangible, valuable solution to implement that they're willing to pay a lot of money upfront for. And so you really have to have clarity on exactly what is the market you're targeting, what are their problems, and what are you implementing to solve their problems. That's the whole point of why businesses exist, is to solve problems. And if you're learning these tools without you even knowing exactly what problems you're going to solve, then it's like you're going into a battle, blinded. Okay, you're basically being blind. You're blinding yourself by doing this. Okay, and so that is why path 2 is always better. What exactly is path 2? Well, first you need to identify your market. You need to identify your market's problems, and you need to map out a solution that solves these problems and validates it. Okay, and so if you want more information on exactly how to do that, you can access the full 3-step AI scaling playbook. It's around 35 pages long. You can access it completely for free. First link in the description in the AI scaling specialist community. By the time you're watching this, we probably already hit 1,000 members. So if you want to join that, it's completely free and access the full 3-step AI scaling playbook on how to choose your market, how to create a hypothesis around the problems that you've identified, and how to actually validate your offer so that you can go ahead and scale. So if you want access, first link in the description, completely free. But onwards with the video. Now, it is true that once you validated your offer, you do need to have the skill of being able to build proficient AI systems for your clients. I'm not negating the fact that you actually do need to build out these systems and implement them into your client's business. I mean, that's the whole reason why people buy from you in the first place, is because you're promising them an outcome with a specific array of mechanisms that you're going to implement into their business. Now, you need to actually be able to implement those mechanisms, build and implement those mechanisms into your client's businesses. But what's the best way to go about it? Okay, so what's the most viable path towards acquiring the skill of building and implementing these systems? Okay, and there's two paths. You can either pay with your time or you can pay with your money. Okay, and here's how you should go about it. So the very first thing you need to do is, like I said, come up with a hypothesis once you've chosen your market, and you need to validate your offer. You need to validate the hypothesis. But what I mean by validating your hypothesis, what does that actually mean? Well, it means someone gives you money to build out a specific system into their business. Unless someone has paid you to implement whatever you've promised them into their business, then you have a hypothesis that has not been validated. Okay, and so you need to come up with a hypothesis and keep refining it until someone actually hands you their hard-earned money for it. Okay, and this is the process of coming up with the offer and refining it until it's something valuable and desirable from your market. Okay, and once again, if you want more insights on how to do that, first link in the description of the community. And so then use that money to hire a systems integrator who has spent their entire life learning these skills so they can do a better job of building out these systems better than you or I ever could. Okay, so especially in the international market, which I recommend tapping into, there are people who spend their entire lives learning how to build out these skills that you can hire for a way cheaper cost. Remember, we have to factor in the opportunity cost, for a way cheaper cost opposed to you spending all these hours learning these skills. Okay, so you can hire someone and onboard them onto your fulfillment team. So that way you're focused on choosing the market, crafting the offer, and validating the offer. And once someone's actually handed you their money for your offer, then you can onboard someone, build out a fulfillment team to implement the systems that you've promised this person. Okay, and so you'll be happier, so will your clients be. Okay, why? Because this person probably knows how to build and implement these systems better than you ever could. Okay, it's just the truth. There's people who obsess over these things. And so building out a fulfillment team is crucial. As the founder of your business, you should not be the one building out every system for your clients. Elon isn't painting all of his cars, and Jeff Bezos isn't packaging every box. Why? It's impossible to scale like that. Outsource yourself from fulfillment so that you can focus on things that move the needle forward. Okay, and so you will never be able to scale if fulfillment is always the bottleneck. The biggest problem I see with technical agency owners is that they get too caught up in the weeds of building out systems. Why? Because it's what they're good at, and that's just the truth. The same way that a marketer would rather be marketing opposed to operating the business, a programmer would rather be programming opposed to marketing. Okay, people want to do what they're good at. They want to do the things that they enjoy. And if you're someone who's technical, chances are you enjoy programming and building out these systems. You find joy in it. Right? And when you think of marketing, when you think of selling, it's almost out of your field of expertise. It's almost a gray area that you have yet to explore. And there's always that friction when it comes to doing things that you're not good at or that you're not experienced at. Okay, and this is why people tend to want to do the things that they know they can execute on. And so you have to keep this in mind. If you start your own AI agency, you are now taking on the role of being the founder of the business, not the programmer of it. And technical founders love working on technical problems. Why? Well, because there's no fluff or negotiating when it comes to solving technical problems. Solving technical problems is very definite. If you identified a problem, if you troubleshoot it and you implement whatever whatever you think the solution is to that problem, then you're gonna get a definite yes or no. Okay, there's no in between. Okay, and this is why technical people love working on and solving technical problems, because it's definite. You troubleshoot, identify a problem, and solve it, and then it either works or it doesn't. It's straightforward. Opposed to marketing and selling, where it's not as straightforward. So psychology and emotion are the biggest part of marketing and selling, and so solving marketing and sales problems are nowhere near as straightforward and definite as solving technical problems. Okay, and this is why it might be tough for some technical people to play the role of a founder. but it's definitely not impossible. So if you're someone who has no technical experience looking to start an AI agency and you're nervous because you don't have any technical experience, don't be. It's not trust me, it is not necessarily at all. We scale people's agencies all the time simply off of the thesis of choosing a market, identifying their problems, validating the offer, and then using those new resources to allocate towards building a fulfillment team to scale within any given market. Okay. You also have to keep in mind that you might be thinking in your head, oh, what if I don't find someone to what if I can't find someone to hire, or I can't hire a fulfillment team? You have to realize right now that most of the problems, and this is something I've heard from Hormozi, which I thought was great, most of the problems in your head are made up. And if they do come true, if the problem actually turns out to be a real problem, when you're facing it, you're going to have different resources and you're going to have learned a lot more opposed to when you're first thinking about that problem. So, opposed to, right now you're thinking about, hey, I don't have a fulfillment team. How am I going to go about this? Opposed to when you've actually collected 5, 6, 7 grand from your client, if you've structured your offer in the right way, you're going to have a lot more resources to allocate towards solving that problem. So always keep that in mind. In some ways, it can even be considered an advantage if you're someone who's non-technical. You get a fresh slate when it comes to developing your problem-solving skills, because if you want to scale your agency, you want to be in the mindset of a capital allocator. Okay, because a business is simply a value creation machine. It's a systemized way of getting and converting attention so that you can provide a valuable service to them and doing so profitably. Remember this, if you're actually serious about starting and scaling a business, especially if you want to scale it, it's not about you, okay? You cannot be doing everything. You cannot be focused on the things that you enjoy. You need to loosen up the control and let other people take control of the reins to work on things that you might not necessarily be good at, or you don't have the time to work on, or it's not as leveraged for you as the founder to work on. Okay, so it's not about you. Okay, so you have to have the skill of identifying markets, gaps, and opportunities, because if you can do this and then bridge the gap for a specific market with your service, that is how you will scale and build true wealth. Okay, not by being a better programmer than your competitor. It's not about you being better or you having all the skills. It's about who has the most leverage within their business, who's identified the right market, solving the right problems, and who can implement the right solution to collect 5, 6, 10, even 15 grand up front to scale within any given market. Okay. So just always keep that in mind. Do not be in the mindset of you needing to be someone who's technical. You need to be in the mindset of a capital allocator. You create a hypothesis once you've identified your market, and you need to acquire capital so you can allocate it towards scaling. Okay. If you want more insights, if you want direct access to me, go ahead and join the first link in the description, which is the AI Scaling Specialist School community. We have tons of actionable insights coming out on a weekly basis, and so if that's something you're interested in, if you want that 3-step scaling playbook, first link in the description, completely free, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.